You're listening to Captain John Doe, real aviation stories told anonymously. Let's get into it. Doe heads, what's up? It is Wednesday. This is your host, Mindy, and I'm sure we know how Kevin is going to introduce himself.
Sup, Doe heads? It's Doe Head Day. I'm your favorite host, Karen.
Favorite host, Kevin. Yep. Well, guys, we just landed from a really great flight today.
What'd we do, man?
We did what we said we were going to do on last week's episode, actually.
I know we always like to forecast our hold on. We like to recap our previous week and forecast our next week.
Yeah.
And it's nice that we actually got done what we told you we were going to do. We got Mindy or IPC. We actually got to do the logbook entries, but Doe heads come first.
Yeah, we weren't sure if it would all work out because we ended up doing my IPC in an airplane that I have for sale right now. I don't know if it's still going to be for sale when this comes out.
Hope not.
But it's on the market as of the time of us recording this. It's 685 Mike Bravo. Go check it out online. It's a sweet SR20 G6, and I had the opportunity to fly it because as it's for sale, what happens to a lot of listings actually is the sellers, they're probably selling because they got a new plane. And then the plane that's for sale becomes a bit of a hangar queen. And I really don't like that happening with my listings. So I always encourage my owners to please keep flying it. Don't just ground run it. Actually take it up in the air. And so we were going to be out on the East Coast, and so we're in Georgia right now. And the owner, who we know very well for a very long time, was like, "Hey, yeah, go fly the plane because I know you like to get it flying anyway when it's listed." So we took the opportunity to run this SR20, which I needed to do to keep things healthy and alive anyway, and knock out an IPC for me at the same time. And we explained this on the last episode that it's really important these days for insurance, especially in the Cirrus world.
Insurance drives everything.
I've noticed that in Cirrus and Bonanzas, like Beechcraft stuff, insurance wants you to have an IPC done in that model. So not only do you need to be current, so like I am a current instrument pilot, but I have not gotten an IPC done in a Cirrus before. So that was a goal of mine to get that done. That way I can start to help out more of my clients move airplanes around. So anyways, long story short.
Who better than yours truly to give the IPC?
Right. I mean, this was the first time.
Oh, here we go.
That you've been a useful instructor to me.
You can't laugh at your own jokes.
It's true. Like we've logged duel between each other 1,000 times, but it's usually in Mojo. And no offense, but you don't got anything to teach me in Mojo.
I don't. I understand.
Yes, but we do the regulatory checkoffs of like, oh, I need an instructor to sit with me to do my flight review, blah blah blah. So you've done dual given to me in those scenarios, but you have significantly more serious time than I do. So
look at you giving me the cred.
Oh, I actually learned something from you today. Several things from you today.
What did you learn before we tell them what we did?
I learned that you're not supposed to get slower than 100 knots with the autopilot on.
Yeah, you did.
I did it. Uh-huh. And then I was like, well, I know how to solve that problem. Autopilot off.
To be fair, your reaction was perfect because I sit there and I watched it happen, and you immediately, your first action was take the autopilot off and hand fly, and it was perfect.
Yeah. To give you guys the backstory of when that happened, we were flying an approach into this little mountain city, we'll call it, of Georgia, the North Georgia mountains.
4,700-foot mountain peak.
Called Blairsville, and we were going into Blairsville Airport on an RNAV. And traffic was landing the opposite way. So we were like, what better time than to practice a circling approach?
Right. And we did brief both, by the way. We did brief both.
So we came in and it was getting a little dicey with timing. So I'm on final. And as I'm leveling off at the MDA, because it was an LNAV plus V.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, no.
Am I remembering it right? You're looking at me like I have 4 eyes.
Well, yeah, because you're right.
Okay, so I'm leveling off with the MDA while making a traffic call because as I'm circling to enter the downwind, there's a 172 flying over the airport that's joining the downwind as well, and another airplane coming at our 12 o'clock, essentially joining a 45 to the upwind.
Yeah.
So there was a bunch of planes all coming together at the same time as I'm trying to make my radio call, because that was a very urgent radio call because we were like merging traffic. And as I'm leveling at the MDA, and I knew I was needing to add power at that time, but I didn't realize how much throttle movement you have to make in the SR-20 for there actually to be a change. So like in Mojo and a bunch of other planes I fly, you make a little change in the throttle lever and you get immediate feedback from the engine and it's like spooled up really quickly to where you want it to be. But in the Cirrus, I noticed that the lever has a lot of physical movement before you get big power changes. So it just wasn't, I guess, as intuitive as I thought it would be on the crossover there. So anyways, I'm trying to add power, and as I'm making the radio call, Kevin's hitting me up the side of the face saying, "You're too slow." Then the airplane's like, "You're too slow." I'm like, "I know." So then I just kicked off the autopilot and added a bunch of power, then we were good to go.
Yeah, so you just brought up a good point. So many people that I fly with, and including you, were talking about the throttle and like what power settings to use.
Oh, I never asked power settings.
Well, I'm just making it.
I probably should have, but I didn't.
The reality is there's not a power setting that's going to work there. Like, you just fly the damn airspeed.
We did.
Oh, no.
We got there.
No, you did great. So we drove out to the airport, and I told her we're going to do Toccoa, Blairsville, and then we'll come back to Jackson County for our last approach. So
well, hold on. Whoa, you almost knocked your computer on the floor.
Yeah.
Something funny, we were debriefing. So we're flying and I'm putting air quotes, you can't see them, in the mountains of Georgia, right? When I learned to fly in the flatlands of Florida. And I recall my first time coming up into the Georgia area. Oh my gosh, I flight planned the crap out of it and was like, oh my gosh, I need to look at where every mountain peak is, an obstacle and blah, blah. And not to say we didn't do our flight planning, but the stress of doing it this time was zero because we're so used to flying in Vegas.
I think it's just the knowledge of it now.
Yeah.
Is why it was so much easier to just look at the chart, be like, oh, okay, this
Bingo.
is all we have to do.
Yeah.
And like, we're flying over the mountains and like, yeah, it looks like you're low, but then, you know, the Garmin suite's so smart. It's like, oh, you're 3,000 feet above.
Yeah, it was just so much easier. All of our knowledge of obstacles and terrain has been like a 180.
Yeah.
And so we've learned so much from living in Vegas and learning how to fly through that and crossing through that kind of like not Rockies area. What am I trying to say?
The Sierras?
Yeah, thank you. No, when we're flying east out of Vegas.
The Rockies.
Okay, then I am right. It's just the southern part of the Rockies.
That's the Rockies.
Okay, I always think of the Rockies as Colorado because like we don't fly in Colorado.
No, the Baleen, New Mexico.
Baleen, yeah.
It's like the last part of the Rockies.
Gosh, my geography could use some help. Anyway, it was just like a non-stress thought being out here. It was just like, oh, easy peasy.
It was like a one-way in, one-way out airport.
It was.
To be fair.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah, that was really cool place though. So yeah, we did a couple of approaches. We did precision, we did non-precision, we did circling, we did a go around miss, we did a procedure turn. Like we did all the things. So if you guys think we're just pencil whipping each other,
No, we did 2.5 hour IPC.
Yeah.
2.5. I mean,
And we had been doing approaches and stuff in Mojo like the last several weeks, right? Like every time we've been flying lately, I try to do an approach because I'm not flying professionally very much anymore. Like contract flying, I'm so busy with my sales job. So every time we get in our plane, I'm always challenging like, can we turn this into an approach? Like, can we do some training? Because I know I will fall behind on instrument if I don't make an active effort to do it.
I even quizzed you on the holding procedures.
Yeah, you did. He's like, what entry are you going to make to this procedure turn? And is this a standard hold or non-standard hold? It was non-standard because it was 7 nautical mile or 7 DME turns. It was a big old hold. But no, I haven't flown a Cirrus in a minute. And after today, I got to say, Mr. Instructor, you made me feel quite comfortable in it. I feel pretty good about it. And what's your assessment? We haven't properly debriefed yet. Debrief me.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about the one issue that was solved, and then the other thing we kind of talked about in the plane is why we don't put full flaps in with the autopilot on as well. Because that situation would present itself immediately.
Yeah.
You're going to get the underspeed protection with full flaps. So like airspeed control in that airplane is more like a jet than not. I say that with a quotation mark, but like it's more like a jet than like any other piston.
I would agree. Even the landing profile is more like a jet.
Right.
So you want to talk about the landings real quick?
Okay. So her first landing, we come in, we do the precision approach into Toccoa. And I brief her because she hasn't flown a lot of Cirrus time. So I have her go visual at like 700 feet ish somewhere. Not visual. I shouldn't even say that. I had her disconnect the autopilot early. That way.
Yeah, you had me hand fly most of it.
Yeah, not visual. That's not the right word. Disconnect. That way she could go full flaps to practice a full flap landing. I'm not going to get in the weeds of when you should do that or not, but her first landing, she comes in and she basically does a skylane landing.
No, I knew not to flare like a skylane. That's not true.
Let me finish what I'm saying.
No.
What I mean by that, a Schmindy landing, it was so soft and fluffy, but the stall horn came on as we hit the ground.
Which to me is like, bingo, nailed it.
Right. And that's like, everyone listening to this is like, isn't that what you're supposed to do? Not in a Cirrus. I literally said when we taxied out the runway, I was like, that landing wasn't firm enough. Like, that's such a weird thing to say, but because we were slow, you fortunately had enough elevator authority to kind of create that landing. But
so like in most piston aircraft, you flare to where the two main wheels touch, and then you hold the nose wheel off as long as possible, let it come down as you slow down. And the Cirrus, it's a way more flat landing. A lot of people 3-point it. I'm not going to do that, but it's much less dramatic of that nose wheel wheelie down the runway. It's kind of like mains nose.
It's like a jet. I mean,
yes.
You're probably
the sight picture for me is
5 degrees max pitch up.
Yeah, the sight picture for me is much more like the Citations than any other piston I've flown.
Right. And like also the other thing, and I know you do this naturally, but for people listening, like in a Skyhawk or an Arrow or something, the reality is you don't have to trim. If you don't trim in the Cirrus, that landing, you're going to be jerky. You're going to be herky-jerky because that plane needs to have that pitch set prior to the flare because you're pretty much already in it just like a jet would be.
Yeah.
So let me wrap this up. Her last landing, and I say this with 100% honesty, it was probably one of the best landings I've ever seen in a Cirrus from a student, and that's not a lie.
Or from anyone.
Not from me. I mean,
oh, come on, Kevin. I'm not gonna lie, I was talking mad shit.
She was. So like my instructor instincts come out naturally, right? So I sit up in the seat, I got my feet kind of up, my hands like near the yoke, and she's just like, "What's your hands doing over there?" And I'm like, "Nothing."
So
nothing.
I'll admit, we're coming into land, and I had way too much confidence because I know when I got something, like I have this internal like click where I'm like, oh, I get the confidence of a lion. I do. And I'm not going to say I have a hazardous attitude.
I was just about to say.
I know there's a macho coming in, but I just like knew at that point how comfortable I'd gotten with the plane over the last 2.5 hours. So
She even goes like, we're on base, and she's like, I know, flaps 100. I'm like,
Well, I was like, Kevin was like leading me through the landings on the prior two. So I was just like being sure to beat him to the punch, saying like, I don't know. And students have a hard time doing this, right? Of explaining what their thought process is. That way the instructor knows that, oh, they got it coming. Because it's hard for an instructor to know, like, are they going to do it at the right time, or do I need to lead them to it? So anyways, I was just trying to get ahead of it and let you know, like, yep, I know when I turn base, I need to do this and I need to do that. That way he didn't have anything to say.
anyways, let me pick this up. So she's on final. She has full flaps in, and her airspeed is about 83 knots when we turn final, like when we level off. And I'm like, she can't mess this up, because in the Cirrus, you want to be about 80 knots. And she brings it down. She's dialed at 80 knots. And then my hand started acting like a maestro. Is that the right word? Like
an orchestrator?
Yes.
What's that called?
What are they called?
A conductor.
A conductor. That's right. A conductor. And she set the pitch, she trimmed it, and then we were in like the flare attitude position early, and my hand I could see just goes like this. I didn't say a word. I'm showing like a flat hand, like a stop sign. And I could just tell, like, I was like, whoosh. And it was, I mean, you probably wouldn't have cracked an egg.
Kissed the ground.
Cirrus landings are not supposed to be like that, because you were perfectly on speed. Your pitch was perfect. I mean, it was annoyingly perfect.
Yeah. And then the drive home, I just talked mad shit the whole way home.
Because she's like, what's your fingies doing? Because when
Why are you so nervous over there?
So let me tell a quick story. I know we're getting long-winded here, but like when you were training me, you would hide your fingers under the yoke, and it always pissed me off for whatever reason, even though you weren't doing it.
Air out our dirty laundry.
I took that to heart, and I never ever wanted to touch the controls without the student knowing.
Right.
Or me verbalizing that.
But you also got to protect yourself.
Right. And you taught me that too. So the thing I came up with is I would put my hand near the yoke. The Cirrus has a side stick, and I kind of like wiggle my fingers a little bit. I want my like quick reflexes to be ready, but I also know the student is he doing this? Am I doing it? Who's doing it? I want them to feel confident and comfortable that they are the ones manipulating the airplane. And I've always made it crystal clear, I will tell you if I did something. And that habit didn't die. Obviously it needs to go bye-bye.
No. I liked everything you did. I was quite literally just talking shit to you because I love to do that.
Anyways, you got my blessing. I would let you fly my Cirrus if I owned one.
Okay.
What every DPE says after you get your check ride, they always say the same.
I'd let you fly my family.
I'd let you fly my wife, kids, and dog.
And I don't say that to anybody.
I don't say
Meanwhile, they say it to
every
everyone.
single person, because when you get that ticket from them, they have to feel that way.
I know, and I will say DPEs, like, they always say that.
Always
to people. I've heard it said to me.
How many check airmans have you had?
So many. I've had it said to me. You've had it said to you. Everyone. I know everyone. But then when anyone comes to me, they're like, oh my gosh, I just passed my check ride and I did so well. The DPE said this. I never burst their bubble. I'm just like,
no, it makes you feel really good.
Good for you, man.
I'm saying that too. Like after I passed my instrument, like the guy said that he'd let me fly his dog, and you're like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like,
yeah, you said that 3 other times.
I'll never burst anyone's bubble, but I just gotta say they say it to everybody that passes, pretty much.
Anyways, we'll have more on how you can get some more IPCs from Kev in the future, because last episode
Kev's not hanging up his instructor wings.
Yeah, last episode I let you know I'm not instructing anymore, but that doesn't mean
just
full
like
time.
Currently, yeah.
I want to make that clear. Like, I will be staying in general aviation forever. I mean, come on.
Hell yeah. Well, if you guys have a great story about your IPC or flight review or training with your spouse, go to our website, CaptainJohnDoe.com. Submit your story to our show, fully anonymous. We don't know who you are. We don't want to know who you are. Just submit it. That way you can air out all your dirty laundry, just like Kevin does, except very publicly with names. Follow us on social media, subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And remember that we're doing merch drawings. We just did one on our last episode, but our next merch drawing is going to be episode number 54, which is July 29th. So if you're listening to this now as it's coming out, be sure to get on the drawing list because we're doing a monthly merch giveaway all year long. In 2026, we're picking one winner every fourth Wednesday of the month. You can enter for free by going to Instagram, and we have some posts there you can engage with that gets you an entry, or leave us a podcast review. And then just shoot me a DM saying that you did it with your name. And then boom, you're on the entry list. Open to U.S. residents 18 older. Full rules are linked in our Instagram bio and on our website, CaptainJohnDoe.com. And with that, Kevin, how about we read a review?
Time for the 5-star only review by Mike Papa Quebec. 5 stars only. Great show. Exclamation point, exclamation point. Love your show. Topics are great. Stories from Captain Jane and John Doe are awesome. I also love it when you pick topics and go down rabbit holes with your own lives. A shout out from X-Ray 23, which is Umatilla, Florida.
Oh,
One of our friends, they said his name, but we're not going to say that.
I see. Show me.
Recommended your show. So thank you to our friend. You probably know who you are, Umatilla.
Oh, but you can read it. That's a public thing. It's
All
a
right,
public post.
Dylan.
Dylan recommended your show.
recommended.
Thanks, Dylan.
Dylan is also a CFI at Umatilla. So if
Fly-
you guys are looking at...
He's the CFI guy on Instagram, or Fly Umatilla.
Right. Umatilla is kind of in the Orlando area, if you're familiar. Kind of not, but kind of.
Yeah, if you're in the Orlando area and you need flight training, hit up our friend Dylan. He's awesome. Thank you for the review. It really means a lot for us. I'll say this. Kevin and I have crazy travel schedules over the next few weeks, so we are pre-recording this one. It's literally just a couple days early, but we didn't have time to give our friend Kyle time to make comments.
Well, that's the problem. Kyle told me that he can't make comments on a podcast he hasn't listened to, which is a fair remark. So we're going to table Kyle's comments until this comes out.
Till he can catch up.
Will be next week. So we should probably have some Kyle's comments at least soon. Maybe a couple ones. We might have to pre-record a couple.
We're pre-recording
for obvious reasons that you guys now know of.
Yeah. Me and Kevs unfortunately don't get to see each other every day anymore. So we got to pre-record a few because we are so dedicated to this and this podcast. We put so much effort and blood, sweat, and tears into this because we love it so much and we love this community that has been built from it. It's so important and near and dear to our hearts, and it is our passion, project, hobby, whatever, but that we are so committed to that we don't want to miss a Wednesday.
Right. I could see another Captain John Doe podcast on Kyle's Couch coming up in our near future.
Right.
And if that happens, we might have Kyle join the podcast.
Yeah. Maybe we get live Kyle's comments. Live, straight from the horse's mouth. Just give him a mic and just let him talk shit.
Yeah. So bear with us over the next few episodes. It's kind of unknown because I'm kind of in a position where I don't get to see my wife, so we're trying to get ahead of a couple. Normally that's not how we've been doing this. We've been doing it
normally we record like
the day before
Tuesday night for a Wednesday drop. Right. And I hate that because that puts a lot of work on me on Tuesday nights to record, produce, edit, and upload episodes.
Well, I like doing it like in real time because
it
makes this so easy. Like, we just did your IPC today. That makes this really easy.
Right.
So coming up with these little sidebars that we do before we go into the story is easy. And I think the listeners like that. But we're just letting you know, like, hang in there with us. We're still going to give you a great show. That's all I got.
That's all you got. Well, with that, how about you kick us off with the first story?
All right. I was 21 years old, a brand new student pilot working toward my private pilot license. At the time, I had maybe 15 total hours and around 3 hours of solo time. Still very much a baby pilot. I just moved north. Wait, sorry. I had just moved to North Carolina and was shopping around for a new flight school, Part 61 school. I found a school that seemed fair and professional. I won't name any names, but it was located southeast of Charlotte. I scheduled a flight for 9 a.m. The first red flag came early. My instructor showed up only almost an hour late. When he finally arrived, we did a quick intro, maybe 5 minutes of small talk. I told him a little bit about my experience, and before I knew it, we were walking out to the airplane. The school itself was fairly large for a Part 61 operation, but that morning something felt off. The ramp was empty, no other instructors, no other students. We were the only ones there and the only airplane moving. I brushed it off. I departed, and shortly after takeoff, he told me to make my way towards the practice area under the Charlotte Bravo shelf. Everything felt normal until it suddenly didn't. Out of nowhere, during the climb out, he violently grabbed the controls and yelled, "My controls!" We pitched down hard and immediately turned back to the airport. My heart was pounding. I was completely lost and confused. Did we hit something? Did the engine fail? Was there a control issue? I scanned the gauges. Everything looked normal. The airplane was fine. He, on the other hand, was clearly rattled. He started getting frustrated, almost angry with himself, mumbling under his breath while flying an aggressive pattern back to the field. I finally asked him what was wrong. Without saying much, he tilted his iPad toward me. We're inside the TFR. Not just any TFR, a presidential TFR.
Oh, no.
Even as a low-time student, I knew exactly what that meant. I didn't have an iPad. I didn't have ForeFlight or any flight apps at the time. I was brand new to the area and had no idea the president was even visiting. There was no way I could have known. And as the instructor, that responsibility was entirely his. We landed and taxied back in silence. As we pulled into the ramp, I noticed several people waiting for us. The moment the engine shut down, the older chief pilot stormed over and absolutely ripped them apart, right there on the ramp. I was told to go grab my things and leave. When I came back to the school a few days later, the instructor was gone. I never saw him again.
Owie. Okay, well, there's 2 to 3 major issues I have with this. The first thing that really, hurts me to my core is when people are late to things, whether it be the instructor or a student or in any other industry. It shows a blatant disrespect for the other person's time. And that is such a high character value for me. Even when I have scheduled Zoom meetings, for example, if someone's 10 minutes late, it just shows that they don't care about my time. And nothing makes me get turned off by a person quicker than disrespecting, not having mutual respect for each other. Like, your time is just important as my time. I'll respect you and you need to respect me. The fact that the instructor was an hour late, I would have never stuck around to fly with that guy. Like, that would have really set me off on the wrong path. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's not acceptable. Like, I can't imagine being late in a CFI role. Like, you have such a fragile relationship in something like a discovery flight where this person is basically interviewing you for your livelihood,
your business.
Like, I mean, it's not, I mean, I know a lot of businesses are like this, but like, instructors don't make a lot of money. And when you get a discovery flight put on your schedule, that should mean more than most, because that's an opportunity to, 1, fly, and 2, make money
and get that client recurring. Yes. I think that instructors forget that they are salespeople.
They do.
Well, they are. Like, if you're at a 141, you're at an ATP, Embry-Riddle, whatever. Okay, you're not a salesperson. You get assigned students, and students are assigned blocks. They have to as part of the curriculum, and that, those type of disciplined 141 schools require the students to come to those blocks. And if they don't, they get kicked out of the program. So you got no selling to do. If you are a Part 61 flight instructor, you are a salesperson.
100%. Like, no question. That was one thing that I will take away from my time at All In is, like, they championed run your own business. And they made it crystal clear when you get a discovery flight that's coming from the school, that's coming from management, that's all they're going to do. And then you take it from there. So being late is one thing. And then this obviously showing this guy didn't even think about preparing.
Okay, well, that's my second problem here is I'm wondering, did the instructors skip a proper briefing because they're that bad of an instructor? Or did they skip it because they felt time pressure because they were late and they were just like, oh, sorry, like, just get in the plane. Sorry, I'm late. Like, I wonder what side of that felt, because I can understand if they were running late. Everyone has stuff happening in their life. Maybe this was a one-time show up late thing and they were just feeling pressured to get right in the plane because they felt bad potentially that the student had been waiting. Or is this a recurring theme? Because also in part 61, you as the instructor are responsible for setting expectations with your students and giving them a proper instruction. And I know that instructors don't like doing ground, but guess what? That's part of the gig.
Mindy, how should every flight lesson start and end?
Every flight lesson needs to start and end in a formal, controlled environment that's for briefing and post. A briefing should never happen at the airplane. A briefing or a post briefing should never happen on the ramp. It should never happen in a busy lobby. Like, there should always be some sort of, like, I don't know, sacred place, some dedicated place.
Sit down.
Sit down.
Sit down.
In an environment that has a desk with a table. That way your student is inclined and in an environment where they can take notes. Guess what? If you're just chatting, like standing up in a lobby or standing up by the airplane, your student is 100% not taking notes. There's no learning occurring. No learning will be occurred. You've got to sit your butt down, or the student does. You got to have a place where the student can sit.
If you want to sit too.
Well, if you want to stand and teach at a whiteboard,
sure. Yeah,
stand and teach. You can lecture someone by standing, but the student needs to be in a place where they can sit, digest information, take notes, have an iPad out. But oh my gosh, if you are teaching someone that the way we fly planes is showing up to the airport and immediately walking out to the plane, you're setting them up for failure.
You know what I spent most of my time doing when I got a discovery flight? Because this is standard. You get 2 hours, right? 1 hour ground, 1 hour flight. That's a standard discovery flight at most Part 61 schools.
Right.
It was sitting face to face, getting to know the customer, getting to know the student. Because what did I know from doing this so long? Like things that I picked up really early on is, like, if you made that initial, if you imprinted right away, then they were coming back.
Yeah.
Because I don't know the stats, but like a discovery flight, you need 10 of them to get one person to sign up, right? But you're not going to get any if you do what this guy did.
Right. And also just my sales background speaking here is, you need to have a brief moment as an instructor to talk about your credentials, to make that person know that you can be trusted. Say, hey, my name's Kevin. I'm a CFI and CFII
Showing
here.
your license too.
Which means that I can teach these types of programs at this school. Teaching people just like you on their first day is exactly what I love to do. Greet them with a smile, and then you need to be asking questions about themselves. Every student is different. And in Part 61, the beauty of it is that you get to morph into that person's perfect instructor. You are not bound by courseware of 141. So you might find out by just asking questions. And I think a lot of instructors don't, because unfortunately, not shockingly, pilots have egos and all they want to do is talk about themselves. But you really need to interview your student, make them feel seen and heard, and be like, oh, so you used to take lessons back in the 90s and then you had kids, so you're a bit familiar, but a lot of things have changed since then. Tell me more about your experience. What type of planes were you flying? Oh, this plane we're flying today is going to be just like what you flew before, or here's the differences. If you can just ask questions.
It's so easy if you get them talking.
And also, people feel good about themselves when they get to talk about themselves. That's what makes people leave feeling like, oh, this person gets me.
And guess what? You learn about them so quick on how to teach them. Because everybody learns different. We learn that as CFIs, right?
Right.
Everybody learns different. So how are you going to figure out how they learned? Oh,
Ask them.
the first time you meet them is how you figure it out.
Well, and you don't even have to be Sherlock Holmes here. You can say, what's your preferred learning style? Do you like to see things on a whiteboard? Do you prefer to watch videos? Because I have a lot of YouTube videos and courseware we can do. Do you like to read to yourself and I can assign you like homework and assignments and we can go over it together the next time? Like, what's your preferred learning style? People know. You don't even have to figure it out, because if you were to ask me and you, we probably have two different answers. And if we just tell the instructor, they're like, got it.
Right.
You just ask them.
One more little topic. This is something we can do.
Oh, we're so passionate about this.
I can talk about how to get them booked, how to do a flight. Like, this was something that I really felt strongly about with our new instructors we got, is like, how are they doing the actual flight? Because if you're not letting that student or customer fly the airplane, you're not doing your job. And that comes with experience. So I always was like hesitant on how you display that info to the newer instructors. And you guys who have instructed understand what I mean. Like, it's hard to let somebody who's never been in a plane take off before.
Okay,
Right.
but hold on. A brand new, if it's truly a discovery flight and it's their first flight in a small airplane, I don't want to say you lie to them, but you can make them feel that they're doing so much more than what they are just to get them to get that bug.
Right.
You need to sell the aviation bug where they go home to their family and they say, you guys are never going to believe it. I took off in a plane today and landed it. And they might think they really did by themselves.
You know how I did it? My little trick? I always let them control the throttle. And then when we landed, they would always say, you know, make a funny comment, you made a great landing. And I would always look at them. I said, I didn't land that airplane. And they're like, yeah, you did. I was like,
We did.
I know. I said, whose hand was on the throttle? And they're like, my hand was. And then they like look at me like, wait, did I just do that?
Yeah.
Even though, yeah, of course I landed the airplane, but they were a part of it together. Because that's the one time. I have one more thought. And then we got to move on.
Okay.
This is too much. This is some insider trading information. Sorry, Paul. Our owner at All In did some R&D to try to figure out how to make the best customer experience. It is no joke for all you guys that came out and flew with me. We are arguably one of the most expensive schools in the country for a reason, because we have the best equipment, best instructors. I feel confident about that. I'm not there anymore, and I'm so tired.
Get there. Come on.
But he determined through customer feedback, and the customer ranges from 16-year-olds to 6-year-olds. Like, we trained a lot of airline pilots, that 3 hours was the minimum they wanted of time spent with the instructor to feel like they were getting what they were paying for. And that's a lot of time for a lot of Part 61 instructors. They find that hard to understand. How do you find 3 hours?
Easy.
It is so easy.
We don't need to get in the weeds of it right now.
I know.
You're getting a. I'm gonna reeling you in.
Tell your story.
Hold on. Presidential TFRs.
We forgot about the part of the story that is the worst part.
That's the meat and that's the meat and potatoes.
How do you bust a presidential TFR?
Kevin and I are having issues before y'all even took off. And here we are. We didn't even get to the meat and potatoes of the story yet, that you flew into a presidential TFR. Holy crap. I mean, I to your point, you noticed no one else was flying. Like, why does the instructor had no awareness? But also, hopefully, this instructor sounds pretty poor. Maybe they missed the communication. Flight school leaders should be communicating to all their instructors saying, hey, FYI, presidential TFR, our whole fleet is down on June 22nd or whatever. The flight school needs to communicate that. Obviously, it's on the instructor. Oh my gosh, check NOTAMs before you fly. That's like,
there's a lot of,
there's so many missteps here.
There's a lot of things that you can quote unquote get away with in aviation, like not safety related, but like, I'm not going to get in the weeds of that, but busting a presidential TFR, there's
can't come back from that.
Zero 0 people. The fact that they didn't get a F-16 escort is shocking. Because I've worked many presidential TFRs.
He realized that 300 or 400 feet above the ground, they were probably launching, but they landed before.
Well, they're not launched; they're in the air. They must have been like right next to the airport. My guess is they're Rock Hill. Just saying that.
I know we've been there a few times.
Yeah,
we got stuck there for a long time.
We did, but like, whenever I had presidential TFRs. I don't know why this would be an issue to say on the podcast, but there would always be at least 2 fighters in the box.
You're talking about from your air traffic control experience.
Right. They're in air with a tanker in air. So like
makes sense.
I'm kind of shocked. Like they must have been like at the airport when they busted it. Like they must have been in the TFR on the ground type of thing.
Who?
When they took off, they must have turned around like immediately. The plane,
the training flight,
yes,
they did. They realized,
like immediately,
and immediately came around and like
right.
They said that
that's the only reason they didn't have an F-16 off their wing.
And also, like, lucky for the student that you were dismissed and didn't have to get questioned and put in.
Right. Because you say that it's on the instructor, detention. Which is true, but that doesn't mean you're relieved of going through the rigmarole.
Right, yeah.
Great freaking story.
Really great story. I love it. I mean, you got us on a rabbit hole.
Sorry, listeners.
Sorry. No, that's what podcasts are for.
The review we just got was the rabbit hole, so there we go.
And I love rabbit holes. I love rabbits.
All right. Tell the story.
All right. The title of this story is called It's Just Around the Corner. A group of us were traveling together to Oklahoma City for the wedding of one of our best friends. We'd grown up together in a small upstate New York town, but by this point we were all post-college and scattered across the Northeast. Most of us hadn't seen each other in a while, and for many of us, this was our first trip to that part of the country. Our friend was in the military, stationed in Oklahoma and marrying a local girl. So this wasn't just a wedding, it was a reunion. Although we were flying in from different cities, we coordinated our schedules so we all had the same layover at one big airport.
That's fun.
I honestly can't remember which airport it was anymore, just that it was big enough that we could all catch the final leg to Oklahoma City together. When we arrived at the layover, we did what any sensible group of reunited friends would do. We decided to grab food and drinks, but we were being practical about it. Let's head towards the gate first, we said. We'll just grab a drink near there. So we followed the signs to our row of gates, the long hallway where all the gates usually are, and right at the corner was a restaurant and a bar. Perfect. We grabbed a table, we ordered lots of drinks, and before long, the rest of our friends had arrived. Let's just say the party got started early. We were laughing, catching up, ordering more rounds, just having a great time. There was time for at least 3 to 4 rounds of cocktails. A couple of the more responsible ones kept an eye on the clock and noticed that boarding was coming up soon. That's fine, we said. Just one more round. After all, why stand at the gate when we were all right there? We figured we'd just walk down the hallway when it was time. It couldn't be that far. So we settled up, we grabbed our bags, still laughing, heading towards the gate, probably about 15 minutes before departure. And that's when reality hit. What we thought was the hallway to the gates turned out to be a short hallway with an escalator that took us down below the airport ramp. As we reached the bottom of the escalator, we realized there was still a super long hallway to travel leading to another building entirely. And this was before moving sidewalks were everywhere. We had to hustle all the way down and then back up the escalators to the other side and then find our gate. We thought what would be a casual stroll turned on to a full-on sprint for all 8 of us. We ran the entire way. When we finally got there, the gate agents were shaking their heads. They had been calling our names on the overhead speakers, but we made it. We were relieved. We were going to make it to Oklahoma City. The gate agents were partly annoyed because we were loud and proud, but also happy to see us. They ushered us quickly through the gate, heading outside. Next surprise, there was no jetway. We took more stairs down to the hot ramp. I think it was summer, and I think it was Texas, judging by the size of the airport, and I just still can't remember. And then we saw the smallest airliner we had ever seen. I didn't know it then, but today I'm pretty sure it was a Beech 1900 or smaller. So Still laughing and carrying on, joking about the small airplane, we boarded and we found our seats. Then a harsh reality set in. It was time to push back, and pretty much all of us had to use the bathroom.
Oh my gosh, we always talk about this.
With our race to get to the gate, we didn't have time to stop and hit the restrooms.
You didn't have time after your 18 drinks.
Unfortunately, this small regional airliner didn't have a lavatory. I kid you not. It was the early 2000s, and it was a twin-engine turboprop about the size of a big King Air. I don't even think it had a flight attendant. Our group made up about half of the passengers, and our loud laughter from the bar quickly turned into quiet moans as we bounced through the Midwest turbulence with painfully full bladders. For me personally, it was one of the most uncomfortable flights I had ever taken between the turbulence and the physical pain. But somehow we survived. It was a crazy way to kick off an unforgettable destination wedding and a lesson I still remember every time I travel. Never assume the gate is right around the corner.
Love that story. Might be one of my favorite stories we've had because it's so real.
So relatable.
It's so relatable.
You know how many times I've been at a commercial airport, have done the same thing where I sit at a restaurant with plenty of time, and then one of many things happens where all of a sudden you're running to the gate and you're like, what the hell? I got here 3 hours early. How am I having to run to the gate?
Let me ask you this question. Have you ever seen a pilot in uniform run at the airport?
No. I would love to.
You know why?
Why?
Because it's not allowed.
What?
Pilots are not allowed to run in uniform.
I mean, that would look terrible.
Right.
And also, the plane's not leaving without them.
But it's literally written in the ops manual that you're not allowed to run in uniform.
I mean, that is terrible optics.
Think about that. Yeah, just think about you see this person run. You're coming out of the bathroom.
I did not know that.
And you see this pilot sprinting, and they go onto your gate, and you're like, what is going on?
Yeah, that would make people uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable, because we've talked about this a lot of times. People lose their entire sense of self when they walk through TSA.
Don't get me started.
They have no idea. Like this group is so relatable. You're having fun with your buddies, kicking off a wedding.
Okay.
Tried to plan ahead and realized that you're not that smart. You're just like us.
You're going to be so shocked to hear this.
Oh.
I have a grievance to air. Lately, when I've been flying out of Las Vegas on commercial flights, I have gotten several times now where 3-4 hours before my flight, I get a notification that my flight is delayed.
Oh, I know where you're going.
Your mic is not up.
I know where you're going with this.
I get notification my flight's delayed, and I'm like, oh, okay. And usually it's delayed by like an hour or two. And we live 15 minutes from the airport. So when I get the delay notice, I'm like, well, I'll just delay my drive to the airport. We're so close. And almost every single time I've gotten notice that the plane is delayed right before the scheduled departure originally, I get a notification that the flight is back on time. I did not know they were allowed to do that. Why are they allowed to do that? Why are they allowed to do that?
I don't know the why.
Because you're telling everyone, hey, shift your day by 2 hours. And then not even making like a quick recall. Like, it's not like 15 minutes later, like, oh no, we're back on time. Everything's fine. This happened to me and you traveling once too. And we were
happened many times.
We were so lucky that we showed up to the airport earlier than we normally did, because me and you were going through TSA when we got the notification that the flight moved up by about 2 hours back to the original time they originally said. But unless you were already at the airport, you would have never made that flight.
Right. I think the lesson there, because I know you're asking me, I don't know.
So this happened to okay, hold on. I have more stories. This happened to me. I had that delay notice, and then I was already on the way to the airport, though. Thank God, because it's only a 15-minute drive. I was halfway there. And I was almost there, and my plane got delayed by 2 hours. So I was considering, I was in an Uber, and I was like, should I turn around and go home? Because I'd rather sit in my own house for the next 2 hours than go sit and Harry Reid. And so I was like, no, I'm just going to go. I might as well. I'm already on the way. I'm going to have to pay for the Uber to take me back and then get another Uber. I'm just going to go. I'll find a place to hang out. So I show up to the airport, and then I found out one of my friends who's a pilot had a layover there as well. So we grabbed a table for breakfast, just like this story that was submitted to us. And we are catching up. We hadn't seen each other a long time. One of my very best friends. We're eating breakfast and stuff, and I had my phone face down because I was enjoying my time with my friend, and I knew I had plenty of time. I had my smartwatch on, so I knew what time it was. Like, I was very aware of my time to get to the gate. So we're like getting our bill and stuff. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to start heading to my gate. I check my phone, and the flight that was delayed bumped back up to its original time during that breakfast, and I didn't see it. And I had to run to the gate, and I was there so early for the delayed flight, and then they undid the delay, and I had to run to the gate. I was like, are you kidding me? Because like, how many other people maybe missed the flight because of that?
I don't know.
And they did that so last minute. Like, they changed it back up to the original time within 30 minutes of that time.
I think clearly the lesson is like, don't show up late. Show up on your original departure time, because I don't know the nitty gritty on when they categorize it as a delay, because I do know that the airlines will do anything and everything in their power to not.
Then don't send out the delay notice until you're sure that it's delayed. Like, I'd rather be in the airport and be at the gate and then be like, man, we did everything we could, but we got to delay the plane now, rather than me missing my flight because they delayed it prematurely.
Yeah. No,
I hate that. And then one time you texted me, you were at the house still, and you said, man, my flight got delayed by an hour. I said, you better go, because the last several times I got delayed, they moved it back up. So you better go sit at Harry Reid.
I'm pretty sure it got moved back up.
Yeah. I what mismanagement?
Well, Harry Reid, for some reason, unbeknownst to anybody, is the most delayed airport I've ever been to in my life. So, like, I feel like the airlines get notice from air traffic or whatever that Harry Reid's in 2-hour ground stop for, whatever reason. Typically it was wind. I don't know. All of my buddies that were controllers at Harry Reid, I'm sure they're texting me right now saying, well, on this op, we can only do this. On this op, whatever. I don't get it. But they delay the crap out of everything when the wind's blowing a couple knots one direction, because they seemingly can't. I'm not going to,
You're about to talk shit.
I know. I don't get it. But it gets delayed so much. So I feel like when they flip to a different configuration, everything's lifted like that. So like, that is why at Harry Reid it probably happens. Like, if this is at Charlotte and Hartsfield and Dallas and O'Hare, things like that can't happen. There's just too many arrival banks and departure banks where it is what it is. But like these outstations like MCO, and when I say outstations, I mean airports that are super, super busy. I'm not discrediting Las Vegas buddies, but like airports that don't have strict arrival banks.
Yeah.
Don't have the same
passengers don't know
problems.
that. Anyway, I guess my advice, and just to bring it back and tie up this bow on the story that was submitted, how relatable that is. I think anyone who's ever flown commercial a couple times in their life throughout, a couple times a year has had to run to a gate, and you feel like such a freaking loser running with a backpack. I'm like, gosh, I feel like I'm in 5th grade right now.
You are.
We had an advice section, but we're out of time for today, so we're going to bank that for next episode. And it's a really great advice. I think that it's going to be kind of a tough one. So be sure to tune in to next week's episode to hear about how this person who is pretty scared to fly ended up taking lessons, and now they're struggling with the anxiety of flying solo. I think that will actually be really relatable to a lot of people as well. So tune in next week to hear how that goes. And with that, we'll catch you guys later, Doughheads.
Thanks for giving us an hour of your time. See you.
Bye.
Thanks for flying with Captain John Doe. If you have a story to share, visit CaptainJohnDoe.com and stay anonymous. New episodes every Wednesday. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and tell your favorite crew members.